So, to summarize everything up, I was not the first therapist to work with my client. She had another therapist that she was working with in another state at the first recovery center. So I called that therapist to see how everything was going with her during that time. And since everything was so fresh for my client at that time, I guess her heart was more guarded, and she did a lot more listening in the group and didn't really want to talk during individual therapy. So they focused on doing a lot of exercises to calm her down because she was always so focused and departed, like broken from what her boyfriend did to her. So since I'm the second therapist, um, she worked on kind of more things working on herself, and I wanted to provide more support for her since she did not have this deep support in the other state that she was. I stated to her that I wanted to continue working with her after the program. Again, because she lost trust, I didn't want her to work with a third therapist. We have this great foundation relationship just through the program and even afterwards, so it'll be built and she won't have to have her guard up. Because to cut it off cold turkey would have been, I think it would have been too much for her. So she can continue working on her trust with me. And we can use the time a lot more worthwhile. And when I asked her if she wanted to continue afterwards, she said that she would be good with that. And I was glad to hear that because she could have viewed my time as useless and not worth it. And since she is a 32-year-old living with her parents, and she's always, they are very enabling and of her being dependent on them. So she trusts her parents, which is a great tool, an important tool to utilize. But there's always just, doesn't need to be all the time. There's an appropriate time to use it. And I asked her if she viewed using her parents or kind of backing away from her parents a little bit would be a positive or negative aspect for her. And it could have gone either way, but I'm glad that she views it as a positive reinforcement. This is not our first time meeting. This is about our fourth time. And it's still a very new relationship to build, and she still has some time through the program for us to continue building our relationship. And as you can see through the video, you can tell it's still a very new relationship. When I would ask her questions, there was no really specific deep feelings, and she was fairly brief in answering my questions. And because she is so shy and quiet, I understand that is what is going to happen. And this is kind of how she is with many people, I guess, even with the other therapist. She was very limiting to what she would say. So I want to continue, again, with building that relationship, seeing that as a positive thing, that she can trust me so that over time she can open up to me. And with even utilizing her parents in this session sometimes, they do sometimes come in. They came in at the beginning of the program, and I'll have them come in towards the middle and the end of the program, but not every single week. Initially, this is what the three of them were wanting, but I explained to them that I want her to make these decisions by herself because people aren't always going to be around her, and she needs to learn to see what her behavior can lead her to. And I want to challenge, don't want to push anything on her, but I want her to challenge herself a little bit to see what those behaviors do for herself. In the very first video assignment, I felt comfortable with myself, but once the video started, I kind of felt a little bit awkward. Same with this video, I felt a little bit awkward. I was looking down a lot at my papers to kind of help me with questions, but after I got used to just asking the questions, I was able to have a lot better eye contact with my client. And I could just imagine the client probably feeling the same way because they're the ones that have to open up, and they don't know me or they don't know any therapist in general, and maybe this is their first time, and this is something that I've been practicing or will be practicing, so I'll be getting a lot more used to it. So again, I can only just imagine what the clients feel like, because they may feel judged, and this is the last feeling that I would want my client to feel like. So me putting them in their spots, I really have a better understanding of kind of what they're going through. And then once I was able to get to the part of the session where I was putting the intervention into question form, that's when I was able to be more attentive to her, and that's when I was able to notice a lot more things about her. She was having like the pillow in front of her, and she was twitching around with a lot of things, or with like a rubber band in her hand. So she might have felt a little bit tense and kind of on guard, and I noticed that I was a bit serious in asking the questions, and I know that if someone was to not necessarily crack a joke but make a fun comment, that it would kind of lighten my mood. Again, this is always depending upon the situation, because they could think that I'm not serious, so I wouldn't always want to lighten the mood with a joke, but saying something to cheer them up, I know could kind of help them open up a little bit more. And I feel confident and comfortable with myself, and I know it just will take time, as I saw in both of the videos. So I know that after working through this internship and just becoming more familiar with continuing reading and even reviewing the interventions and theories that I've chosen, that I will learn which ones I like a lot better. I know that I'm going to have to learn a lot more, because every theory and intervention, because there's so many interventions and people are so different. People respond better to different interventions, and so through working through all these different cases, I'll see how I respond better and what I'm able to teach better, and see what flows better for me. And over time, I'll be able to better understand and kind of help the interventions guide me. And I might have a theory and a couple interventions that I might go to first, but as I continue to see what works better for people, I'll be able to see which ones work better for that population, and then in any different population, again, I'll probably have to start all over, because people respond different. It'll be interesting over time to see how I get better, and to see what I need to fix about myself. I don't always need to talk. Listening is sometimes just the thing that people need, but other times there are those clients, like my client, who is shy and who don't really want to speak. But I know that in time they will again want to speak, and so too much talking and not enough talking, I know, is not effective. So this is why getting to know the client is very important, to see what their style is like. I do want them to realize their progress, so kind of comparing themselves from the beginning of either when they first started drinking, or comparing when they first started the program to after their lifestyle change. I want them to see it as like a positive reinforcement, because they have made so much progress, even though they might not view it that way. They may view it as a negative reinforcement, because they're in a recovery center, or they're being forced to be in a recovery center, or forced to stop drinking or taking drugs. But I want them to see what their life was going to be like in the future, because they could have died, they could have lost their family, they could have lost their kids, they could have become homeless, and so many more, and even showing them statistics of what has happened to other people. So over time, they might be viewing it as a negative consequence for a long time. But as we continue to go through the program, I hope that they would see being in the program or having a therapist as a positive reinforcement. And I know all of this takes time. So again, thank you for listening, and thanks for watching my video.